Okay, so day 2 on the porch here with Hipster Crown down the block, 4th Street from Aardvark Studios. It's the last day of recording the album Late to Love. They're doing the vocal tracks right now, so I ducked out to do my meditation here. Meditation number 86, I believe, from this day, written May 9th, 2004, and commemorated this 9th day of May, 2014. And getting into the heart of things here, through Heraclitus, back to Heidegger and the poetic. And yesterday the meditation ended with a pretty long and layered quotation from Heidegger, which is really significant for this project. Man first speaks when and only when he responds to language, by listening to its appeal. But the responding in which man authentically listens to the appeal of language is that which speaks in the element of poetry. The more poetic the poet is, the freer that is, the more open and ready for the unforeseen, his saying. The greater is the purity with which he submits what he says to an ever more painstaking listening, and the further what he says, the further it is from the mere propositional statement that is dealt with solely in regard to its correctness and incorrectness. Let me just turn up the volume here so we get good sound quality. Alright. Okay. So picking it up there from Heidegger, what does it mean to be poetic? What kind of saying is issued from existent standing, released from the location of freedom? What kind of response shows an authentic listening to the appeal of language? Is it the response, that poetic response, which authentically listens to the appeal of language? The most poetic saying is that which calls attention to this appeal of language. If language beckons us, this beckoning, this calling is offered as a message, an invocative invitation that is issued from that which is beyond language. Quote, we have to come to confront something inevitable. Unquote. Such a saying is properly an invocation or an invocative invitation because it is both a bearing of a summons, a citation that calls forth, draws in, mediates the crossing, and one that points towards and thereby invites a meditation, a silent consideration of what remains ineffable. The most poetic saying that bears the message of what is unspeakable and unnameable, of the Tao that is beyond, is issued in the saying of wisdom poetry, or the poetry of the sage. Poetic saying of the sage bears the message of what is ineffable by invoking the modality of authentic listening. To speak poetically is to speak evocatively, to offer a saying that attunes and adjusts. Thus the dwelling of the sage, quote, focuses above all on the task of speaking wisdom, unquote. Heraclitus' fragments offer many examples, and it is for this reason that he has been identified along with Lao Tzu as an exemplar of the wisdom poet. To be most poetic is to maintain steadfast openness before the ineffable. To remain open in this manner is to be reposed and thereby reposable, free for the arrival of the enchanting, ready for the unforeseen. Heraclitus stood firm upon this location, upon the hearth close to the fire. Here, next to the fire, Heraclitus intones his poetic saying that returns his visitors to the project of learning, to the comportment of the apprentice, the one who is estranged from their habitual habituation. The fire is the source of the poetic gesture, the emergence of the twofold play, for it is his location near the fire that gives rise to the appearance of the strange and unforeseen in the midst of the mundane and ordinary. And this is precisely Heraclitus' fire. Quote, his fire is metaphorical, a psychological intensity that penetrates all literalisms, a quick silver fire that glows through the hand, burning away whatever tries to grasp reality and hold it firm. This fire, as the active principle of deconstruction, brilliantly deconstructs itself. End quote. From a secondary source. Heraclitus' sayings emerge from his close proximity to this fire, and thus bears the message he receives from this location. It is thus no coincidence that his visitors are estranged and return to the openness of learning when they encounter him warming his hands by the fire, and he calls their attention to the unforeseen, what appears beyond or transcends their immediate perception of what they have projected along the way, and on their way to Heraclitus' home. In this moment of their arrival, they experience the deconstruction of the habitual and the bursting forth of the unforeseen, the enchanting conjured by the evocative speech that offers ordinary sounds and symbols in extraordinary ways. This is the poetic saying of the sage, responding to the appeal of language, which properly understood is the beckoning of that which is always already beyond language, the not yet of language, the possibility which preserves the initiative and points to the existent play of freedom as the ongoing encounter with the ineffable. The saying of the sage bears the message of that which exceeds language. Thus, wisdom poetry of the sage invokes the releasement of the will, the silencing of the juridical voice, and mediates the crossing over, the passage into the open region of learning, the leap of trust we make into the mystery of our relation with being. Learning unfolds in this leap. The leap is our response to the tidings we receive from the poetic wisdom of the sage. As we said above, in learning we embrace the mystery of the emptiness, the ineffable, that appears at the fire that consumes the immediate and places us in relation to the always already, not yet. In receiving this message of the God's presencing, we become teachable as we watch with dignified calm the deconstruction of our temples of certainty. Hermeneutics is deconstruction. And that's how it ends. The meditation from this day, one that I remember writing 10 years ago today. I remember writing it because of what it says and how it says it, and how I kind of weave back to this important fragment from Heidegger, that hermeneutics is deconstruction. Actually, he says hermeneutics is destruction. And what's destroyed is the ordinary. That is to say, it's interrupted and it's opened up in the way that on this porch today, reading these words, I hope to have interrupted the flow of the ongoing flow of traffic on 4th Street in Stubenville.